Is independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Mr. Kennedy, thank you very much. Good to have you with us. You hear the back and forth here on the border.
Thank you, Martha.
Good to see you. And the excuses, really, that we've heard from President Biden about why his hands are tied on this issue. He can't do anything, even given the extreme crisis that Americans are saying they see there.
Yeah, it's not true what Secretary Mayorkas said. I can tell you from having spent a lot of time at the border, it's just not true. One of the big problems is that President Biden halted, and I was not for the wall, so I want to say that at the outset. I am now, because I've been at the border. I watched 300 people come across in 2 hours between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m., just walk across the border, brought there in buses by the Sinaloa drug cartel. They're coming through one of 27 gaps. Those gaps should have been closed 3.5 years ago, but President Biden, the material is sitting on the ground next to the gaps. President Biden and Secretary Mayorkas ordered the fence stopped. The construction of the fence, the material's already been purchased, and that's where everybody's coming through. So all they need to do is to seal those gaps in the fence. They also tore down, they're in the remote areas. You don't need the big wall, but you need fence, you need sensors, you need long-range cameras, you need nighttime video, and you need the access roads. And those were already in place, and President Biden and Secretary Mayorkas ordered them dismantled. So the physical barriers were deliberately dismantled out of pettiness. Apparently, that's the least kind of insidious interpretation of why they did it. But that's an easy thing to do. The other things that they need to do, they need to restore the Migrant Protection Act, which he can do through executive order, which says that people who want to adjudicate their asylum claims need to adjudicate them in Mexico before they come across.
Which is, that was in place under the former president. But he doesn't want to do any of these things, obviously, because he would be doing them if he wanted to do these things.
Right. And what I'm saying to you, that the claim that Secretary Mayorkas made before Congress today, that he had doubts about the illegality of the executive order. This is not true. What he's saying is simply not true. He could seal that fence without even an executive order. All he has to do is call construction companies on the border and say, finish the fence. The material is sitting there. So it's not going to, there's no legal challenge to that. It could be done overnight, and they're just not doing it. And there's 100 other things they ought to be doing that they're not doing.
Right. And I think actions speak louder than words, and where you put your priorities and where you're willing to take a risk and put yourself out there reflects what you care about. And I think that's one of the reasons that we're seeing the polls the way that they are. I want to get your quick reaction to this. President Biden with Prime Minister Kishida at the joint press conference today. Listen carefully to the sort of nuances between the way they talk about China. Watch this.
The United States and Japan will resolutely defend and bolster a free and open international order based on the rule of law, and that Japan and the United States as global partners shall work together for that purpose. On challenges concerning China,
and our alliance we have with Japan is a purely defensive in nature. It's a defensive alliance. It's not aimed at any one nation or a threat to the region.
The important part came after that. He goes on to say, Japan's prime minister says the alliance is to protect against China. But then President Biden said the alliance is strictly defensive and it is not against any one country. Why is President Biden being so cautious to say that this alliance between Japan and the United States and the Philippines is to protect against China?
Well, Martha, I'm not. I think that it's appropriate for the president to be trying to de-escalate tensions with China. I don't think that China has a lot of reasons not to invade Taiwan, which is what a lot of people in the sort of the neocon faction in Washington, D.C. say that's about to happen. I don't believe that China will ever invade Taiwan in the next decade or so unless we provoke it to do so. There are many, many reasons that they wouldn't do that. And it's not because we have a large military presence in the South China Sea. We don't. They dominate the South China Sea. The problem for China is they cannot survive without Walmart, and they cannot survive without oil from the Mideast, and we can cut that off. So I think we have a lot of defense against China. China wants to dominate the world, but not through a hot war with us. And, I'm welcome an economic competition with China in countries all over the world. I think that's where we ought to be spending our money and our energies.
Well, they're coming at us in a number of ways. Economically, with fentanyl, we have 22,000 Chinese who just crossed the border into California in an area where we have a massive number of military bases. And there's every reason to think that they could be trying to plant intelligence individuals along those borders as well. I hope you'll come back soon.
We should close the border.
Go ahead. We hear you on that. We hear you on that. Lots to talk to you about, so I hope you'll come back soon. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Martha.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.